Yes, absolutely. So Rogue Squadron. Now, this was announced almost a year ago now, believe it or not, at the Disney Plus Investor Day. Patty Jenkins, who directed Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984, was announced last December to be directing Rogue Squadron. So it says here that, and this is again from StarWarsNewsNet.com. It says here, Lucasfilm has officially postponed the start of production on their Star Wars spinoff Rogue Squadron, which was initially planned to make a December 22, 2023 release date. Patty Jenkins remains in the director's chair. I'm going to put a big asterisk at the end of that one. We'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, yes.
But it says, per the Hollywood Reporter, director Patty Jenkins' existing schedule of projects has been cited as the main reason for the production delay. Okay, it says here, this likely indicates the Jenkins' existing commitments to DC Films and Warner Brothers and the third Wonder Woman movie, which she will be directing, and the Amazon's spinoff, which she will produce, are taking priority over Rogue Squadron. Okay, so I just want to say this, and look, this is the thing with Lucasfilm, okay? We and Dre, you know this all too well, man. Like, we've heard this bedtime story so many times when it comes to Lucasfilm.
Yes,
I'm not. Yes, and I don't buy this reasoning for a minute. Look, so they signed her up to do this movie, right? And then they're gonna sit here and be like, "Oh man, we double booked. Silly us! How rude! Come on." Look, they didn't double book. She had her schedules locked in. Guaranteed there are some sort of creative differences like we've seen in every other Star Wars movie since Disney has bought Lucasfilm. There is drama afoot. But what do you think, Dre? What do you think, buddy, on this?
The amount of churn and burn that Lucasfilm has had with its creatives is really astounding when you really think about it. I mean, in the course of 5 films, they have lost how many directors and content creators?
Let's count them. We had Josh Trank, who was supposed to direct who was supposed to direct a Boba Fett movie. He got fired, and that movie was eventually canceled. Colin Trevorrow was supposed to direct Star Wars Episode 9, which became Rise of Skywalker. He got fired and replaced with J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think he left because that's a whole other discussion. But
he left. We have Lord Miller, who left the Solo project like more than halfway through, and then Ron Howard had to take over from him. We had Rogue One, where they kept their director, but they needed Tony Gilroy to come in and like drastically fix and alter stuff because the movie was supposedly such a big mess.
Right.
What else? I'm sure I'm missing something.
Well, D&D. So DB Weiss and
correct. The Game of Thrones guys, they had their, I think, a trilogy or something, or a series of movies, and remember with the Game of Thrones guys, it was the same excuse they used for this. It was scheduling. Yeah. Oh, they're so busy with their Netflix stuff. There's just no time to do the Star Wars stuff.
Oh, no time. How convenient is that? Right after the last season of their big hit show is universally panned, right after that, oh, you know what? Scheduling conflicts. We can't. Netflix. The Netflix money. It's like, oh, okay, that's really convenient how that happened.
Right. I mean, and this is kind of the same thing in a way with Patty Jenkins, because Wonder Woman 1984, while I enjoyed a lot of people didn't like that movie, and now suddenly she's got scheduling conflicts as well.
Well, wouldn't you say that Josh Trank is a little bit of that too? They grabbed him before Fan 4-Stick actually came out, and then when it came out, you know what? That Boba Fett movie that we were going to do with Josh Trank, we're not going to do that anymore. Isn't that interesting?
Isn't it convenient? So this is the go-to excuse.
Yes.
With Lucasfilm, every time there's some sort of second thoughts, buyer's remorse, whatever you want to call it, with a director, they trot this excuse out. And I'll say, and this is why I said early on in this segment about how it says here Patty Jenkins remains in the director's chair, and I said there's a big asterisk at the end of that. I don't think she is. I think the movie's probably going to be canceled, but if the movie's going to go forward, she's not going to be the director. This is a telltale sign. This is what Lucasfilm does every time. The announcement of her replacement will come. I guarantee it.
I'm sorry. It's just bad leadership. You can only churn and burn through talent like this, without it having to be, without it having being an issue with the people at the top making these kind of decisions. It's in like we said, in the course of 5 films, you've gone through like 8, huge people within this creative industry that honestly there's not a lot to go around because everybody's looking for content for their streaming platforms and so forth, and you've churned and burned through a lot of them, and it's just I haven't seen this kind of churn since I worked at McDonald's. Okay, I think I told you that in DMs. It's like, how many people are going to be revolving through this door here. So I don't know, man. I just it's just the same old song and dance. The same old, oh, hey, we got somebody that's really big, that's maybe trendy, and people are talking about in some circles about, oh, they have a great career and stuff. We'll grab them for a Star Wars project, and then, oh, whoops, sorry, can't work it out. It's like, it's just, at some point, like we said before, in earlier discussions, this franchise needs stability. This franchise needs somebody who's kind of like established, who doesn't have 50 films lined up or whatever, but can also wrangle this kind of thing and really handle it with some care and love with it, which it desperately needs. And don't and just stop, stop going with trends. It reminds me of like a bad football franchise. I don't know how much you follow the NFL, but you just have some clubhouses, or you have some owners who are just, they just get general managers and head coaches all the friggin' time, and it's just, and then you have like your Pittsburgh Steelers, who's going to only have like 3 in the last 60 years or whatever. It's just, there's a certain amount of stability that's attached to those franchises, and you can see that success on the field. Similarly, with something like this, it's like every single one of these Skywalker films that came out, in the sequel trilogy, made less than the movie before it, right? And
True.
You had that big, huge loss with Solo, and it's like, what are you doing? You're chasing a trend. You're going with this Rogue Squadron here, which sounds, kind of interesting, but it's like, now you're going to have creative differences once again. It's just and this is what gives me pause about the Old Republic, because it's like you really need to establish a franchise that we can. Established with fans that we can trust you and handle this properly. And I'm just not seeing it here.
No, I'm not either. And look, I'm gonna preface what I'm gonna say here by saying, like, because I know some people will probably jump on me for this, but I don't dislike Kathleen Kennedy. I think for the most part, the movies that she released were good. I've enjoyed the 5 movies we've had from Star Wars. Okay, I don't hate her, but I also don't think she's the greatest thing ever. I'm kind of whatever about her, right?
Yeah.
But with that said, it's time for new leadership. I think really, Dre, like, the only way we can fix this going forward and to build trust with the fan base and to kind of start new and to start to build up, they need new leadership.
Yes.
And I think that's when you can really start to build back up. And I just think that, look, Kennedy is a fantastic producer. Her work, you can't like, people can't downplay what she's accomplished in her life. She's earned the respect, but the problem is that sometimes just because maybe you're a great producer doesn't mean that you're a great studio chief, and there's nothing wrong with that, but she obviously has an issue running the studio. This is not normal. Like, it's so funny too, because people will tell me, like, on social media and stuff, like, oh, well, every studio has lost directors. Yeah, I know. I understand that. Losing a director isn't abnormal necessarily, but when it happens for every movie, that's abnormal. It's like, yeah, you can have the guy who drinks a beer every night for dinner, and you can have the binge drinker who drinks 12 beers a day. Yeah, right. Technically they both drink beer, and drinking beer is normal. The issue, though, is that the guy drinking 12 a day is excessive.
Yes.
So it's the same thing here. It's not weird that a studio would lose a director. It's weird that it's happening with every movie.
Well, and look at how these things have happened. It's not just the act of getting a new director. It's you're going to go 75% into Solo with Phil Lord and Chris Miller and then pull him? Like, let's be fair here. Like, who does that? When have you ever heard of, Warner Brothers and stuff will do that? Yeah, maybe. But it's like, this is Star Wars. This is, under the Disney brand. You expect a little bit more stability than doling out all this production budget, and hiring these actors for a given set schedule, and then saying, oh yeah, we're going to pull the plug on this movie and go in a completely different direction. It's like, you should have done that way before we even hit the set. It's like, and then you look at David Benioff and D.B. Weiss and how they were evangelized by Bob Iger himself during interviews, and well, we're not going to be working with them anymore. You look at Gareth Edwards, right? He directs the whole movie, and then in the edits, it's like, you know what? We're going to give it to somebody else. And we all know how that kind of thing went. It's these like late decisions. It's these kind of this completely. There's no vision, right? There's no kind of there's no kind of roadmap, and this has been admitted to by Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams and others when it comes to this the sequel trilogy, right? There was no vision for where we might end it up, and it was just director given the full reins and make something work out of this. And it's just, look, Kathleen Kennedy is a great producer, but let's be honest here, the biggest part about a producer's role is selecting that director.
Right.
And it's just, if you get through 90% of the film and you say it's not working, that's not necessarily on them. That's on you at that point.
When it happens this frequently, it's on the studio head. I mean,
correct.
It's, when it happens this frequently, it's a leadership issue. I mean, you can't blame it on even like the director, any of this. I mean, this is definitely a Kathleen Kennedy failure.
It is.
She has dropped the ball on this time and time and time and time again.